Welcome back. You're watching Canadian Innovators, and I'm here with Steve Foxcroft of Fluke Transport. Steve, one of the key issues in this port strike that we were talking about that happened a week or so ago is automation. And yes, they wanted higher wages. I don't know a union that doesn't ever want higher wages, but the automation thing is becoming more and more of a factor in many, many industries. And I've known many business owners over the years who just they love automation. They find it a godsend to their business. And I remember one former business colleague, he loved to talk about when he computerized his manufacturing processes. These computers never needed a coffee break. They never went on holiday. They worked 24/7, never complained, and never went on strike. And in your industry, there's a lot of talk about self-driving vehicles now, and your industry could be one that gets quite automated or potentially automated in the near future. What do you think about that possibility for trucking?
The thing with automation, as I see it, is the it allows you to be competitive on a world scale. If you can make your product or service cheaper than anyone else in the world, then you can compete on the world scale. The self-driving part, I think we have to jump over a few more hoops before we get to that in our industry anyways. Like the first thing we're talking about is are we going to go with an electric vehicle? And when I say electric vehicles, remember, I'm talking transport trucks here. I'm talking about what we see on the highway all the time and what we're battling in traffic. Or do we go hydrogen? Is that it? But we have a long way to go there. Are all the Petro-Canada and Esso and Shell stations on every corner going to convert over? Are the petroleum companies going to allow us to go to electric or hydrogen and that? I don't know. They're a big part of what our government has to answer to as well. So I think that self-driving is way down the road from a transport perspective. So from getting the goods to the distribution centers, to the grocery stores, and then into our homes, I don't think that is going to be in our lifetime, actually. So I think we just have to get through baby steps first. We're a labor intensive industry, the transport industry, and I think we're going to be that way for a while. What I would like to see, though, could the governments react faster? They were quick to heighten and increase the interest rates. They haven't been so quick to decrease it. And all this inflation and everything, we're all finding it tough to make ends meet. Can our government just react quicker and give everybody a break by making money less expensive?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And as we know in Canada, the fact that our federal government in particular and some provincial governments spent like mad, spent so much money. They are the cause. Some of the inflation happens elsewhere in the world. We can't avoid it. But there's a lot the government did that made it a lot worse.
Right.
Also on the automation front and the advent of artificial intelligence, of course, which is the latest and greatest thing that we're talking about, it seems to me these unions striking against automation is kind of a self-destructive tactic because the companies involved are going to be a lot more motivated to automate to get rid
Sure.
of these unions' disputes. And what do you think about that?
That's well said. They will try to get rid of them for sure. But also, like, say the longshoremen in New York, New Jersey, Montreal, Hamilton here in Canada. Remember what we're competing against, the longshoremen across the world, in Europe, in Asia, and so on and so forth. And if they're going AI, it's like we said, you have to you have to look at it, and the unions are pricing themselves out of the market.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, if you look at overall unionization rates in Canada, in the private sector, in the government, they're unionized up the yin yang. But in the
Here.
private sector, they have dropped to about 14%. And they were around 30% back in the
Right.
1970s. So you're right, they're committing suicide. They're committing slow suicide. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you so much, Steve, for giving us further information on the very important trucking industry and how it affects us all.
Great to be with you.
That's all the time we have today. Thanks to my guest, Steve Foxcroft of Fluke Transport, a very successful trunking company with the best business slogan around. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, whether this agreement gets ratified, exactly what takes place in the next little while. But we've covered quite a bit of ground today as to how important trucking is to all of us. I'm Catherine Swift, President of the Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses of Canada. Thank you for watching Canadian Innovators. And if you're an innovator and would like to tell us your story, please write to us at ideas@thenewsforum.ca. We'll see you next time.